Hello, everyone. We'll be taking a look at Ukraine, Israel, and other conflicts of interest. As of this recording, it is October 27th, 2023. And so we're going to be taking a look at yesterday what was reported. First of all, so Novomikhailivka, just taking a quick glance over here. As we can see from the day before yesterday and today, just Russians advancing over near the city, which appears to be south of Donetsk, and the front line further extending even more. And let's see if there's any change for today. No, because the update for today is actually just reported to be just a frontline clarification, so they don't have any specific tags, which is interesting, and we can talk about that later even more. And one more update near Dubrova. Taking a quick glance over here at the change. So the front line extending a bit more as Ukrainian forces seem to be pushed back a bit over here near, Chervolna Dubrova, and seeing if there's any change. No, so I'm assuming, well, I mean, it's a pretty broad front line as to what the clarification is, as to what it's saying is being clarified. But a lot of forces, as we can see, are moving. Taking a look at Bakhmut if there's any change. No, not really. Although I did take a quick glance before, and it looked like there was one near Avdiivka. Yeah, over here in South Avdiivka is just a small, frontline clarification. No, yeah, no, it doesn't. I was gonna say like it looks like something over there, but no, it doesn't look like it. But other than that, yeah, it doesn't look like there's really anything else clarified out here. I'm still curious as to what's going on in Kherson, but no, it doesn't look like there's anything else going on over here in terms of uh the control map. Quick look here at the combat that's been going on. 47 combat engagements, which is about what we've been expecting for the past couple of days here. And as we know, this sort of Russian offensive has been slowly but surely kind of winding down as, we talked about, of course, a lot of the equipment losses and casualties that have been going on. A decent amount more shelling from what it looks like out here across the front line. But other than that, nothing else really seems to catch my eye as of what's been reported and what's been going on out here. So, just taking a quick look here at what ISW is reporting about Ukraine. A few things caught my eye here. Ukrainian forces marginally advancing, left bank of Kherson. Which is, I mean, interesting considering how, ISW seems to be reporting that there's movement happening all the time out here, which it doesn't seem to be reported, albeit this is a completely different, source other than ISW, but we haven't really been seeing anything, and I mean, we haven't really been hearing anything, uh, although, of course, Ukrainians are trying to be very secretive. And if Ukrainians are having some success, the Russians obviously aren't going to try and report about it. So, I mean, it's something to keep an eye on, but in my personal opinion, I'm not really too inclined to see any sort of success by the Ukrainians because, I mean, just looking at the previous Kherson Dnieper landing, nothing really came of it, and I'm honestly not expecting too much to come of this one either, but who knows? Uh, Secondly, Russian authorities have coerced Ukrainian POWs into joining to fight in Ukraine, which is, a huge, huge violation of the Geneva Convention. But, I mean, it's Russia. Are we really surprised? And another thing, Kadyrov has announced the formation of a second Chechen volunteer formation, uh, named after a figure who fought against Imperial Russian rule, which is interesting. I'm I As we know, Kadyrov is pretty loyal to Putin, but I don't want to speculate anything, but it if there was a if there was such a thing as foreshadowing, I think that this would be it. Other than that, no real stories really caught my eye today, other than, I mean, people all the time are reporting and alleging, Putin's dead, Putin's dying, Putin's got cancer, and then even still, we haven't really seen anything of of proof or evidence that that's happening. So if you ever hear that, even doesn't even just have to be Putin. It could be Zelensky, it could be Biden, it could be, any political leader that, if they're sick and they're dying, take it with a grain of salt. And here, Johnson calls to bifurcate funding for Ukraine and Israel. So, $106 billion in aid, suggesting separate funding for each country. So this is just something that I thought should be brought up here in terms of, trying to uh, allocate funds from, the United States to both Ukraine and Israel for their defense. So just a little bit of footage being shared from Ukraine here. Most of the footage I was looking at, stuff I really, really wouldn't be comfortable sharing, especially on YouTube as it is. Just some really terrible stuff going on out there. But something here that I wanted to show, and nothing really special, it's just what appears to be a Heimer strike. And just, this little graphic, there's also, music playing in the background talking about magic or whatever. And it's just kind of illustrative how this war is being perceived and painted, and how propagandized, I suppose, it is in terms of the videos that go out, and in the age of the internet, and just the way that this war is being shown to people, and the way it's being marketed in a way that, it's, you know of a graphic of a magic wand, and what happens? Yeah, the Heimar strike is successful. It's just, it's interesting to see how it's being shown, in that, like, it's not necessarily taking itself all the way seriously, and yet it's war where, people die and are injured, and their lives are horribly affected in some of the worst ways a human being can be affected in. So it's just interesting to see how it's being shown and marketed, and, like I said, propagandized in this way. So pivoting over here quickly to Israel Palestine, the usual, as we talked about: bombings, missile strikes on either side going on, and some more unrest going on out here in the West Bank. So, I mean, until the end of this conflict really happens, I really don't expect the West Bank to cool down any more than, like, what we really see here. If anything, it will probably heat up more. Although, I really hope, as with anyone, would hope that this conflict ends soon and as peacefully and mutually agreeable as possible. Whatever form that may take, right? And two sides that want to completely obliterate each other. What are mutually agreeable terms when, you know, one side is going into towns and just indiscriminately slaughtering civilians, and the other is just, completely leveling buildings out here, which is, is apparently, where uh, commanders and top officials are stationed, and yet, it's something interesting that I see a lot in the footage is, it being shown that, oh, another Hamas uh uh person or commander, top official, is taken out in this airstrike. And it's like, there's one airstrike, multiple air of these airstrikes every day. It's like, well, how many of these top commanders do they have? Do they have a commander for every building in Gaza City? Because, I mean, by the end of this, you get what I'm saying. Anyways, still, hostilities happening between Hezbollah and Israel. So yeah, that's just the big picture of what's going on out there right now. So taking a quick look here at another story that's coming out of Israel. The UN calling for humanitarian truce in Gaza. And something interesting: Israel rejected calls for a ceasefire, fearing that it would benefit Hamas, which, I mean, I suppose, makes sense. If just you cease hostilities, they could build, their capabilities back up again, which I suppose it is a genuine concern. While the UN no longer holds legitimacy, Israel accused those who voted yes of supporting terrorism, which I I I majored in natural studies and I graduated from college. So, I mean, I'm laying out my credentials in terms of how is supporting humanitarian aid also a support of terrorism? I mean, I understand, perhaps there are some countries who support Hamas who want to support a ceasefire because they want to rearm Hamas or whatever. But how is supporting, humanitarian aid and, a humanitarian truce to support those who are literally homeless right now, the millions of people who have been evicted from their homes in fear of, you know, being caught in the middle of this. Maybe perhaps someone in the comments could explain to me how that is a support of terrorism. I don't know. That's just how it kind of confuses me there. So right here, this is again Israel and Gaza, and so here are some, missiles being fired from Gaza, and as we can see here, right there. So that is missile malfunctioning from at least from what is reported, and it gives further credibility to, as we talked about a while ago, a good while ago, as to Hamas accusing Israel of bombing a hospital when Israel accused Hamas of having faulty rockets, which I mean, if you looked at the footage of the Gazan militants just pulling literal pipes, water pipes out of the ground and turning them into missiles, it's perhaps they aren't using the best and perhaps they the best materials for trying to wage this war. So especially just seeing footage like this, where do these rockets land? Where do these malfunctioning rockets go? And you can only assume that it's probably going to hit other people in the Gaza Strip or just other civilian infrastructure that is on their side. So that's just I don't know. I just thought I should share this clip here. So let's take a quick look at here what ISW is talking about. U.S. bases being further targeted in the Middle East, and just the axis of resistance by Iran. And you know, side note here, uh, I the name axis of resistance for a coalition of countries. I mean, there's only one other coalition of countries that I can think of off the top of my head that were called the Axis. And I mean, if anybody else out there has a general understanding of history, perhaps calling yourself the Axis of Resistance is not the best luck for a coalition. But I digress. Just, Islamic resistance in Iraq, claimed to launch rockets at U.S. bases in Syria, and also what it seems to be, targeting in Iraq as well. So just in general, just looking at this, we know that is uh, the U.S. is taking countermeasures and striking countries who or striking targets rather that who seem to be a part of this axis of resistance. So as to what that will fully turn out to be and be realized, we don't really know, but the U.S. will and we has and will retaliate in these circumstances. All right, let's tie all of our stories here together. So, senior Iranian envoy met Hamas representatives in Russia. So, just seeing and just illustrating how the international space is tied together so tightly and in ways that perhaps would or wouldn't expect. Just quick here. Iran's foreign minister met with Hamas representatives in Russia to discuss ceasefire and providing humanitarian aid. So, I mean, to what extent is Hamas really concerned with supporting its people in the Gaza Strip? I mean, Hamas is the government, right? So they are the not just the military, but social support systems. They run the hospitals, they run, the schooling, they run everything out there. They are the government. So, in terms of how concerned truly are they for their people, I mean, just leading an attack of killing unarmed civilians in Israel and not fully expecting retaliatory strikes. I mean, how concerned are you for your people if you do something like that? I don't know, but uh, it's just it. I don't really want to say too much about this and what I think, but this is just something that I thought, in return, Russia isn't going to do this for free. Moscow is expected to offer advanced fighter jets and modern weapons to Iran. I'm assuming for, a price. Other than that, there wasn't really anything else that caught my eye or that I felt the need to talk about. So, if are other conflicts or anything else that I should be looking at or not paying closer attention to, let me know. Any comment, any questions or concerns, just be sure to, let me know. Uh, Other than that, thanks for watching.